Good morning, Ethan and Rachel. Please take your seats. Before I finalize any legal decision today, I like to give couples space to speak honestly. Courtrooms often focus on documents, but marriages involve people, history, and emotions that paperwork cannot fully capture.
Thank you, Your Honor. Honestly, having space to talk calmly helps more than rushing through the legal formalities. We have both spent months thinking about this moment, and neither of us wants it treated casually.
I agree with Rachel completely. We did not reach this decision overnight. There were years of trying, hoping things might improve, and eventually accepting that something important between us had shifted. And then, Ethan, would you feel comfortable explaining what changed from your perspective?
Yes, Your Honor. I think the biggest change was gradual emotional distance. Work became demanding, financial responsibilities increased, and I started believing providing stability was enough. Looking back now, I realize emotional
presence mattered just as much, maybe even more.
That distance is exactly what hurt me the most. I never expected perfection,
But I did expect partnership. When conversations became limited to bills, schedules, and responsibilities, I started feeling invisible inside my own marriage.
Rachel, can you describe how that experience affected you personally?
It created loneliness even while living together. Friends assumed we were fine because
There were no dramatic conflicts, but quiet disconnection can hurt more than arguments. I often wished he would simply ask how I was feeling and stay present long enough to hear the answer.
I regret not recognizing that sooner. I thought avoiding conflict was helpful, but silence actually created more distance. I see now that emotional avoidance can slowly erode trust.
Many couples face external stress. Were there specific pressures contributing to this distance?
Career pressure definitely played a role. My job required long hours, unpredictable deadlines,
and constant availability. I told myself I was doing it for our future, but I rarely asked how those choices affected Rachel emotionally.
And I was managing my own career growth simultaneously. I did not need him to solve everything. I needed acknowledgement, reassurance, and shared responsibility. Sometimes success outside the home masked struggles inside it.
Communication breakdown often becomes central in divorces. How did conversations change over time?
Earlier in our marriage, we talked about dreams, travel plans, family goals, even small daily joys. Later, conversations became transactional. We discussed logistics, but stopped sharing inner lives.
I also became defensive too quickly. When Rachel raised concerns, I sometimes interpreted
Them as criticism rather than invitations to improve. That defensive habit prevented genuine listening.
Court records mention no children. Was that always the plan?
Initially, we talked about starting a family after stabilizing careers. Over time, uncertainty replaced clarity. I wanted a definite conversation, not endless postponement.
I hesitated because I sensed instability between us. Bringing a child into that environment felt risky.
Instead of discussing fears openly,
I delayed the topic until frustration built.
Did you seek professional counseling before deciding on divorce?
Yes, twice. Counseling helped temporarily because it forced structured communication. However, once sessions ended, we slipped back into familiar habits.
Counseling showed us what healthy communication looked like, but sustaining it required consistent effort. Eventually, we both acknowledged that effort was becoming forced rather than natural.
Do you still care about each other despite this decision?
Yes, absolutely. Caring never disappeared. What changed was the type of relationship that caring could realistically sustain.
I feel the same. Respect and affection remain, but partnership requires more than goodwill. It requires daily engagement, and we struggled to maintain that consistently.
If you could revisit earlier years, what would you do differently?
I would prioritize emotional check-ins regularly instead of assuming stability equaled happiness. I would also ask more questions instead of assuming I already understood Rachel's needs.
I would speak sooner when dissatisfaction began. I sometimes waited until frustration accumulated, which made discussions heavier and harder for both of us.
From what I hear, this divorce arises more from gradual incompatibility than dramatic conflict. That distinction often allows healthier closure.
That feels accurate. There was no betrayal, just divergence.
And acknowledging that honestly seems healthier than forcing a relationship neither of us can sustain authentically. Given your mutual agreement on finances, property, and absence of children, I will finalize the divorce today.
I encourage both of you to leave respectfully, carrying lessons forward rather than resentment.
Thank you, Your Honor. That perspective helps.
Yes, it does. We appreciate the thoughtful approach.
That conversation was harder than expected, but also strangely relieving. Hearing things openly feels different from months of assumptions.
I feel the same. It reminded me that honesty, even late, still has value. I wish we had spoken this openly earlier in our marriage.
We probably both feared hurting each other, which ironically caused more hurt over time.
That sounds accurate. Avoidance seemed protective then, but it prevented growth.
Despite everything, I do not regret marrying you. Those years shaped who I am today, and I genuinely value many of those memories.
I share that sentiment completely. There were meaningful moments, genuine support,
and shared growth. Those things remain part of our history, regardless of legal status.
I hope we both take what we learned and build healthier relationships in the future, whether with ourselves or with someone new.
That is my intention too. I want better balance, better listening, and more emotional openness going forward.
Maybe someday friendship could exist, but I think some distance first would help healing.
I agree. Time creates perspective, and perspective reduces pain.
Thank you for speaking honestly today. That mattered more than I expected.
Thank you as well. I truly wish you happiness, stability, and whatever future feels right for you.